Let's get some other sampling of opinion. And to do so, let's call on the lady who was once upon a time the Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey, who is joining us via Skype from New York City. And we also have with us from Newsmax Washington, the irrepressible Michael Patrick Flanagan. Betsy, to you first, because we'll be polite. Ladies first. Tell me, what are you expecting tonight?
Well, I am expecting more of a serious policy debate because both of these candidates have long served in politics. They know the issues and they know where their opponent stands on the issues. And I'm hoping, as you suggested earlier, that Obamacare will be teed up right at the beginning. And I would urge Mike Pence, the Republican nominee for vice president, to make it clear that on day one, a Trump presidency would suspend that penalty on the uninsured. Trump will have to work with Congress to repeal Obamacare. It must be repealed. People are just beside themselves at the incredible costs and the high deductibles and the lack of choice. But what a president can do is suspend that penalty, which, believe it or not, right now, more people are paying the penalty than are signed up for those Obamacare plans.
Michael Patrick Flanagan, let me turn to you because it's interesting. You're Betsy's advice, get right to the Obamacare and Bill Clinton's now infamous quote from last night that it's a crazy mess. It is interesting, Mike Pence has not had the persona of an attack dog, but coming into tonight's debate, Governor Pence chose to attack the media for their coverage of Donald Trump. Let's look and listen.
And then they turn on the television the next morning and Donald Trump is still standing stronger than ever before and fighting for the American people. It really is fun to watch, I'll tell you what.
Oh man, there's Mike Pence getting a little salty on the stump there last night. I've known Mike a long time, but wow, give me your theory behind that candid and salty language last night, Mike.
Well, we haven't chased the evangelicals far enough away, I guess. I don't know. I think he was just having some fun, and I think it's harmless. I think John Zogby really, he made some terrific points tonight. You had a great interview there. Zogby was a pleasure to listen to, as he always is, but tonight especially. He talked about Cheney being the adult in the room, the Cheney being a huge help to the Bush ticket. And that was true. I remember personally, this Texas guy, he's kind of young, owned a ball club, I don't know what we got here. But when Dick Cheney said, I'm with this guy, then okay, all right, everything's going to be okay. I think there's a good chance among a tiny portion of the electorate to be, of the Trump helpers, to be able to say, okay, I can feel better about Donald because Mike's on the team, and Mike's going to be helping, and he's going to be real calm and good tonight, and he's going to be that way on purpose and for that reason. And I think it's going to be terrific.
Well, we will see about the rules of good conduct. Betsy, I know you've got more to say, and fear not, you're going to get your chance, as will Brother Flanagan again, because the perspective you both bring to these discussions is very much welcome. And so we'll get back to you in a little while. There is lots more ahead on our pre-vice presidential debate special. Stay with us here on Newsmax TV. Author Ed Klein appeared on Fox last night, and Ed articulated what he believes Hillary Clinton's health problems actually are.
She has a heart valve problem that the doctors wanted to replace the heart valve, and she didn't do it because she was afraid that it would leak out. And she's got clotting problems.
Well, we know that she's on lifetime Coumadin and an anticoagulant, but wait a minute. If she has a bad valve,
yes, any
good doctor is going to say you've got to replace it.
They did, and she said no because she was worried that if she had, it would leak out. That she had a surgery, and that would somehow undercut her presidential race.
Well, with those provocative comments that Ed says he got from inside sources for his new book, Guilty as Sin, let's bring back our angelic political panel. First of all, former Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey, who is Skyping from New York City, and from Newsmax Washington, my fellow member of the class of '94 on Capitol Hill and the president of Flanagan Consulting, not to mention blogger extraordinaire Michael Patrick Flanagan. Now, Betsy, we've known Ed Klein a long time, and these new revelations about Hillary's health are disturbing, and yet they're not something completely out of the blue, are they?
No, they're not. He's got his sources, and I would say that leaky medical information isn't as bad as a leaky heart valve. Of course, I wish Mrs. Clinton well, and we'll see how things work out there. I did want to point out before, when you were talking about Mike Pence attacking the media, Mike Pence is one of these very optimistic guys. When he was running for Congress in 1990, out of character, he ran a very negative campaign. He lost by a landslide, and he vowed he would never go negative again. And I don't expect that he will attack his opponent tonight. But attacking the media is fair game, because the media, the liberal elite media, have deprived voters of an honest and complete account of this electoral contest. So he has every right to go after them.
Well, I would take polite issue with one assessment there, Betsy, and let me get Michael Patrick Flanagan in on this. It's not so much that that Mike Pence doesn't get into some attacks. He's just not. For example, if I were taking on Tim Kaine, I use the sobriquet "evil elf" because that's what he looks like to me. Now, Pence would never do that,
No,
but he will.
And negative.
But he will be very strong in pointing out, since the debate is going on, Michael, in Virginia, and the fact that there was Tim Kaine as governor raising taxes in Virginia, as opposed to what Mike Pence did in Indiana. He will be fact-based, but I expect Brother Pence to come out swinging. What say you, Brother Flanagan?
Well, I think you're right, and I don't think Betsy's wrong. I think what it is we often in this business have trouble defining what negative is, and discussing someone's inconsistency in their voting habits or their general liberal or overly conservative bent, and how that's not good for the people in the reserved judgment of the Speaker is not negative. That's just talking about the issues and the policies. So I don't think that Trump is going to come out and call Kaine names, although as much as you and I might be interested in doing that, JD, I think Pence is a higher caliber person than you and I are, JD. I think, but he will certainly bury Kaine with his liberal voting record. And Kaine runs on being very conservative Democrat, very, very man of the people. You know, you coal miners, you have no problem voting for me. I'm with you. Well, he's not. He's a crazy liberal. He has a liberal voting record that's extreme, and it's going to be real easy to show up. And I don't think that this is information he'd like out. And I'll go you one more. I'll say doing this in Virginia, where Virginians are watching, is not going to be good for Clinton Kaine tonight, because they're going to show him up for not being the conservative they think they bought.
Yeah, this whole thing about Kaine, and Betsy, this is the interesting thing about him. When Hillary brought him out as her running mate, oh, he was just doing that whole Spanish thing, giving speeches in Spanish. Is he going to just sidestep that tonight, or do you expect him to offer a full embrazo of Espanol?
I expect him to do a lot in Spanish. He's been spending a great deal of the campaign in Florida trying to push up Hillary's numbers among Hispanic voters.
So what about it, Flanagan? Does he get in trouble? Will he suffer a backlash if he starts doing the whole Spanish thing? I know in the year 2000 it was kind of quaint and cute with Gore and Bush, but the larger implications of open borders and illegal immigration, it ain't going to redound to the Democrats' benefit, or will it, Mike?
I am afraid of foreign languages, period. I spent a year at the Defense Language Institute learning to speak Greek. And I spent a year in Greece, and I speak Greek with a native proficiency. At least I did then. I would never on camera.
Americans want this to be a country where we all unite around speaking English. And if he does a lot in Spanish.
I think that the problem we have here, though, is that I would never use a foreign language on camera unless I was so steeped in it I was sure that there is no way I could have even a mistake of any kind. And I think using them in groups is effective. Using it on television, probably not so much, because of the fear factor in making a huge mistake in what is a second or a third language for you. My guess is Kaine doesn't use Spanish very much tonight.
Yeah, and well, you know, Betsy, this whole thing, when you take a look at it, and of course the left loves to mischaracterize this. They say it's English only, and that's not the case. Most Americans want official English. that English be the language of commerce and of government, and that's a 70% issue. So if Kaine lapses into that, Pence could very smoothly just turn that around. And Brother Flanagan, what you're saying, boy, I remember on the Navajo Nation, which I represented, trying to say hello, and I'm not going to mangle it tonight, but the leftists at the Arizona Republic, which I nicknamed the Arizona Repugnant, claimed I was saying termite. I think I was saying it the right way, which brings us to another story. Donald Trump yesterday, to a group of veterans at a town hall in Virginia, talked about post-traumatic stress, and Betsy, the leftist press, absolutely took his remarks, claimed he was implying all this. I tell you what, let's listen.
It was a total lie.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was a total lie. And when Mrs. Clinton wagged her finger, as she seems to be doing at the American people all the time now, she has become Madam Politically Correct. She's going to define who is a racist, who is a bigot, who is against women. It's just one kind of shaming after another, and that was everything you heard yesterday. If Mrs. Clinton becomes president, the rest of America won't dare open their mouths for fear of being reprimanded, chastised, and school-marmed by Mrs. Clinton.
And to think that it was Mrs. Clinton who said the VA problem wasn't, quote, wasn't that big a deal. Michael Patrick Flanagan at Newsmax Washington, Betsy McCaughey via Skype from New York City. We appreciate your input. Now, we'll see what happens starting at 9 o'clock Eastern, and then have you back for some post-debate comments if your schedule accommodates. If your schedule accommodates, stay with us. We have more, especially these two vice presidential candidates with similar backgrounds in more ways than one, including their journeys of faith. Stay with us. There's more ahead on our pre-debate special.